So I just watched the Super Mario product placement commercial director's cut, and I actually had a pretty fun time with it, more than I originally expected. Which means this marks the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seven, eighth time in history that the video game adaptation curse has been broken. I know the critics have kind of bombed on this movie, but they're a bunch of fun-hating party poopers, and I think the last type of movie you should listen to critics to, if at all, is an animated kids movie. Because this movie is a lot different when it comes to judging it than other video game adaptations, whereas critics kind of have their own way of judging literally every piece of media, and they keep that same energy for everything. But I will also say that I'm gonna be nice when reviewing this movie, because at the end of the day, it is made for a very young audience. This is the studio that made Minions. There isn't gonna be anything even remotely intrusive mentioned in this movie. I will also say that I have to be very careful with what I use in this video, because both Nintendo and Universal are not very nice companies. So if I'm not using a lot of videos or video game footage or movie footage, you know why. There isn't even movie footage out right now, so yeah. To start things off, the animation in this movie is absolutely beautiful. Illumination's style has always seemed pretty by the books and unimpressive to me. In fact, a lot of their movies I think look kind of ugly, but they really did step their game up here. So many set pieces, shots, and sequences in this movie look just amazing. It's colorful and detailed and keeps all the charm of the Mario games. This also leads to the action actually being really good too. Whether it's a training sequence or an arena fight or a Fast and Furious style Rainbow Road battle, the action is done surprisingly well for a movie aimed at children, which is very important for a Mario movie. They make great use of the power-ups, although I'm still mad they kind of blue-balled us with the Mario Fire Flower. It's literally his second most iconic power-up. Why the hell aren't you using it? The designs are incredibly faithful to the video game counterparts too. I know people weren't fans of Donkey Kong's design, but he looks just fine in this movie. He's also one of the better characters in this movie. Mario and Donkey Kong have probably the best dynamic in the entire movie, which is surprising because this is a movie about Mario and Luigi. At least that's what it's advertised as. We'll get to that later. Speaking of audience reactions, the voice acting was actually pretty good here too. Chris Pratt does a surprisingly decent job as Mario. It's not like some top tier vocal performance, but he does fit the character of this movie very well. I think people were being pretty unfair to him when he got revealed as the casting for Mario. Like, I know he isn't exactly the most ideal option, but he works here. He works pretty well here. Charlie Day as Luigi is pretty damn sweet, and Keegan-Michael Key is energetic as hell as Toad. But we all know the star of the show is Jack Black as Bowser. He voices the character so damn good in this film. Everyone else is pretty good too, but those are the main standouts. Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach was also pretty good. I mostly like the changes that they made with Princess Peach to make her more of a badass fighter. I do think they kind of go overboard, because there was a point where I was like, damn, this girl's pretty strong. What do we need this guy for? But I don't mind it. It's pretty cool to see that there's a character in this movie that can stand out as a idol figure. There are a whole ton of references in this movie that'll keep older and more in-depth fans of the Mario franchise entertained. From more obvious ones like Diddy Kong Racing and Cat Mario to even more subtle references like Super Mario 64. There's a reference around every corner that will have you pointing it out all the time, and it never gets like redundant. The jokes in the movie surprisingly land pretty well too. I don't know, I may just be childish, but this movie did get a good chuckle out of me a couple times. Now, there are some that are too kiddie for an adult like me to be laughing at, but I can't really complain about that. It made me laugh a couple times, and that's good enough. There is a scene where Bowser does a whole R&B solo, and that should be enough reason to go see this movie. So while I can't really complain about the comedy, there are some things that I can complain about, because yeah, I still have some issues with the movie. Time to ruin everybody's fun once more. I think Luigi is very wasted in this film. He is basically taking Peach's role as the damsel in distress and is captured for pretty much the entire movie after their origin up until the final battle. And while he does get his shining moment there, it doesn't really hit that hard because you never even really see him throughout the second act. act. It would have been nice to see him at least attempt an escape or something, but then gets too scared, which ends up getting him captured again, and that would have been a good addition for him in this movie. Just a scene like that, but he doesn't really get that. For a movie called The Super Mario Bros., the bro isn't really all that present in the movie. I think if they were going to ditch Princess Peach being the damsel in distress, they should have just ditched that entire plot point and not have anyone be that, or at least give Luigi more to do in the movie while still playing that role. This movie really emphasizes its focus on its themes about family, but I wish they did a bit more with that. And I know it's just a kids movie, but I feel like if you're gonna make a kids movie that has themes and messages to tell kids, you want to be able to hit home with them, and I don't really think it does that. This is probably one of the few movies where I wish it was longer. I think maybe 15 more minutes would have made this movie so much better, because then we could have gotten more of the cool stuff we saw throughout the film, while maybe also getting some scenes that help the character stick to you. But I do understand that this movie is trying to be fun more than it is trying to tell a story, and it does hit the mark on that, so I'm not going to complain too much about it. But with the rumors of a lot of potential sequels and spin-offs, I do think they need to start thinking about the writing just a little more if they want to one-up themselves and keep people invested. The film definitely feels like a video game speedrun more than an actual visual story being told, and whether or not that's a good thing is really dependent on the audience. I mean, for critics, you can obviously see what they thought, but for me, I like it more than I dislike it because Mario games are rarely ever about the story. They're about platforming, seeing beautiful level designs, and jumping on Koopas and Goombas, and there's a lot of that here. This movie really does feel like a video game, and while that is not good in most cases, I think it works here. You can really tell that the people who made this movie actually like Mario, and in a world where that isn't even present or even required in some other video game productions, it's really nice to see. So with all that being said, I think Mario is a pretty fun movie to enjoy with your family. If you're not a Mario superfan or a little kid, then this movie will still be fun, but probably not very memorable. Hell, I'm starting to forget things already, and I still really like Mario. But if you are a Super Mario fanboy, you're gonna love this film. Is it perfect? No. Is it gonna revolutionize video game movies? Not at all. But it is fun, and that's what it needed to be. I will say though, I still prefer the Sonic movies. Anyway, that's all for today. I'm uploading 2 videos next weekend, so stay tuned for that. Bye bye!